You can't think your way into feeling confident. Okay? Confidence is a byproduct of action, not just affirmation. All right? And if you're one of those people who are trying to fake it till you make it, how does that feel? And if you're a person that has imposter syndrome and you think that anywhere you go you don't belong, who are you trying to accommodate? If there's one thing I'll tell you, I've heard people say this a million times, and being on social media has really lent itself to understanding this more. It's like some people are fearful that if they do better for themselves, if they show up in a certain way, other people are going to think that they are better than them, right? Well, I don't want to do this because I don't want these people to think I'm better than them. Who are these people, right? Who are these people? And then if they're projecting that onto you, well, you probably are. But it's not because you are trying to be better than them. You're just looking to be better for yourself. And you also got to pay attention to that whole thought process. When we are so fearful of improving our lives because we are worried that somebody else is going to be offended by that, what is that telling you? It's telling you that the people that you are around, the people that are engaging with you or you're existing with, are only okay with you as long as they are perceived superior to you, as long as you are perceived as inferior to them. There's one thing I've understood, there is a certain level of insecurities that we all walk around with. And somebody saying, well, you think you're better than everybody else and you're just doing your thing, they just told you something. I think you're better than me. Okay? But that doesn't mean you should stop. And you shouldn't let somebody shake your confidence who isn't committed to improving themselves without constantly watching you and making sure you don't eat. All right? Successful people don't need you to necessarily starve for them to be successful. Does that make sense? And when it comes to the distinguishing factor between arrogance and confidence, for me, what I've understood is arrogance is just loud with a lack of awareness. Confidence has receipts, and sometimes it whispers. Okay? Confidence is historical evidence of what you've been able to do. Arrogance kind of just steps into the room and says, well, I belong here. And it's like, well, where's the proof? Because I said so. And arrogance requires other people, right? It requires other people to be beneath. Typically, you'll understand that an arrogant person needs to talk above somebody or be condescending or be outright disrespectful without it being prompted, right? If you're confident, you can also tell somebody, hey, watch how you talk to me, respectfully. Confidence is not to be passive or commit yourself to somebody else's unchecked privilege, insecurity, entitlement, lack of awareness, abrasiveness, or poor social skills. That's not what confidence is. Confidence says, hey, I belong here because up until this point, I have been doing what I needed to get here. There is room for me. Or I'll make space for myself. I have the ability to do that. And sometimes we will talk ourselves out of just being confident because we are so committed to being something for other people, being digestible. And a lot of these folks eat junk food anyway. They don't have a healthy diet. So why are you trying to be something that other people can consume? And speaking from experience, right? One of the things I've said recently is that my goal is to not have people like me. My goal is to have people like themselves more. Because if you like yourself more properly and intentionally and truthfully, you'll treat other people better. Right? People who really value themselves aren't going around treating other people like crap. That's not who they are. That's not how they move. So it's just not in them. So that's my goal. Right? And some people may have a problem with that. Does that mean I stop doing what I do? No. And I'm confident in how I show up. The reason why is because historically I've done what I needed to get here and to stand on it with some level of integrity. Right? Arrogance doesn't always come with integrity. Confidence might, it should. Typically it does. All right. Confidence requires you to be a contender, be a participant. Too often we try to have microwave success, right? We try to have successful relationships that don't require our participation and are just like, they just exist and they're self-sustainable. You know, we try to reach a certain point in our career success without doing the actual work. Because yeah, sometimes people will skip a lot of steps to get to the top. But it's funny because when they get there, they don't always sustain it. The reason why is because I don't have the tools, right? Arrogance probably got me here. And the reason you know that is because they fall through the bottom, okay? Whereas confidence is like, you know what? I got here, I did this, and I'm here now. And even if I don't know everything about this space, I will learn, right? What is your ability and capability and capacity to trust yourself? If you look at your life up until this point, what have you made it out of? What have you accomplished? What have you been able to regulate yourself in? Okay? Confidence can be pulled from so many places, and it just requires you to be more cognizant of historical evidence, because that will build your confidence. One of the things I told you guys that I wrote another book this year. Another book. I wrote another book this year, and you know, my initial trajectory was I will write every day for an hour. That didn't happen, okay? But I still got my book done by the deadline. The reason why is because I knew, I trusted myself enough. I said, well, I'll get it done. I know myself well enough to know that I will get something done when I say I'm going to get it done. That's confidence in my ability to show up. That's confidence in my consistency up until this point, right? How consistent of a person are you? And when you're thinking about not having confidence when it comes to something, are you just basing it on this moment of you not having the knowledge? Or are you actually giving yourself the opportunity to show up and learn what you need to? Humility. If you always think that you should just know something before you even know what it is, then you are selling yourself so short and you are doing such a disservice to yourself and others, right? Because shame will shut you out of the experience necessary to just do what you're supposed to do, but also be supported properly. Remember, if you go through life worrying about what somebody else is going to think of you, or, you know, my friends back home are going to laugh at me, or, you know, what are my family, what are they going to think? What is my partner going to think? Or what are my coworkers going to think? First of all, a lot of these people aren't thinking about you as much as you think that they are. And what I mean by that is even when somebody is projecting onto you, they are comparing you to themselves. So they're still not thinking about you that much, okay? And think about it, even your process about these people, you're thinking about yourself more than them, right? You're creating this idea in your head to reinforce this self-fulfilling prophecy or this idea of who you are as a person. And it might not even be true. Sometimes you have to be confident in your commitment to grow, to change, to learn, and to adapt. Okay? So I want you to think about one thing that you've been kind of sidestepping or not really stepping into because you don't have the confidence to trust yourself to get through it. How can you get closer, right? Again, confidence also contains a certain level of humility, but also confidence has a track record of showing up consistently. Arrogance does not. So think about it. Be more confident in your willingness to understand and grow. Even if this moment right now you feel unsure, you feel shaky, be confident in who I am as a person. I'm always willing to learn, okay? And if I know that, then I can trust myself to adapt to whatever this next challenge is and do a damn good job, okay? So think about that. Be a little bit more confident in your willingness to grow versus you being insecure about this moment. Because this is just a moment. And you've had so many moments before, you'll have so many after. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other.